got a zillion stories.
Oh, go ahead. We're back on now.
Zillion stories about Ireland and about Chicago and about madness and about art and about the police.
Well, why don't you tell us an experience you've had here in town, or a series of experiences?
Well, I was sorely, brutally, nastily abused by the UAB police right outside the emergency room of UAB Hospital. I was a patient there for the reason that I got bit by about 500 fire ants one afternoon. That evening I finally went to the paramedics and said, did I do it right? Did I treat it right, or what should I have done better? And they said, well, you probably need to go to the emergency room and have it looked at.
Yeah.
I said, fine, I have Medicare because of my disability. And that evening I went to the emergency room and they told me that formic acid is the operative poison that fire ants, these red ants we have down south.
What's the poison?
Formic acid, F-O-R-M-I-C.
Formic acid, okay.
If I had a glass of chocolate milk or milk, I could have spread it on there to alleviate the poison, but all I had was half a Pepsi and mechanically remove them.
Okay, now you're teaching us some stuff about first aid. Milk for ant bites.
Yeah, milk or chocolate milk, or you have some chalk from the chalkboard, spread it on there. Or anything to
that's good knowledge.
Keep them from biting. I've always fancied myself a bit of a teacher, and that was going to be my career in 1969-70.
You have the demeanor of a teacher.
Do I? I need the round glasses.
Well, you mean you could go any number of ways with it, but you do spread information. I've heard you talk.
I have a lot to give, and
that's
try and share it.
It's a good quality.
It's not always valued or appreciated, but you know.
We hope putting stuff on the internet will be like, hopefully it's just in the ether and people can find it at any time, and when they get ready to use the information for whatever their purpose.
There's so much on the internet, in a manner of speaking, half of it's porn, which is useful to some people.
Yeah, but we don't have anything from Birmingham, probably a lot of porn, but we don't have anything about the local homeless situation or how the police treat people coming from Birmingham at all, so we just want to start
earlier,
that.
One-third of the time I've been here, 3 months, I've been homeless. I've slept in that park right over there, Brother Bryant Park. I stayed at Brother Bryant Mission for 9 days. I've stayed at 3 different missions.
How was your treatment there?
Well, I was treated the best at Brother Bryant. They have the most accommodating situation for a skeptic, for a crank, for a crackpot like me. And I don't plead glory, hallelujah to everything.
Yeah.
I have much church behind me, and that's where it will remain. But I do appreciate people that do value their faith and value their beliefs. The issue seems to be, can they live it out, or can I live out my beliefs and still be happy?
Right.
I've studied philosophy, modern philosophy, Ayn Rand and beyond. I call her Anne because I can't pronounce Ayn very well, and it sounds dirty. But I've studied.
Well, Donahue interviewed her, and he said, "Ein like pine."
Okay.
So if you can say "ein," that's how she said it.
Ein, zwei, drei.
Yeah, ein. Yeah, there you go.
I've studied her, and I've studied her successors, and I've tried to live whatever I believe. One thing I never wanted to be was a hypocrite.
Yeah.
Because I see so many of them, particularly in politics and religion.
And religion, yeah, sure.
And the media, and in academia.
Yeah.
We seem to be living kind of a strange world where it's called, in the philosophies I've studied, an anti-civilization. Notwithstanding the great creations of mankind, both physical and artistic and manufacturing and otherwise, we're still predicated on things like war, which you have a great interest in exploring and avoiding, deconstructing.
At least exposing why we go to war. You know, I guess that's what's my interest mainly.
There's a great article which I'm going to pull off the internet again next week, which I read and studied about 3 years ago, which claims that within the politicians that create war, for the most part, there's a sense of personal anger that they're trying to suppress or exploit or understand. And they don't really know that they're warring against themselves, their own contradictions, their own lies. And I'll say this, the two things, and they're kind of twined together, that keep people down and keep them unhappy and create wars and poverty and misery and hunger are lying, dishonesty, and laziness. And they're twined together. Some politicians get up at 4 or 5 in the morning to put their makeup on and their expensive clothes, and they work very hard, or so it would seem, but they're dishonest at heart. Most politicians are. I've rarely seen...
Don't you think it's a prerequisite to be dishonest to be in American politics?
Pretty much, in a manner of speaking.
Then we have something on you, and when we get ready to use it, we will. Right now, we don't care what you do, as long as you're within certain parameters, and when we get ready to spring a trap on you, like Elliot Spitzer or whoever, we know where to find you.
Well,
I mean, it's a possibility.
Great majority of them are dirty one way or another.
Sure.
It's all for some kind of nebulous personal... It's an ego trip for a lot of them.
Yeah.
They even call it ego legislation. They say, we're going to pass this law to save 50 children from some kind of terrible fate, but the consequence of that legislation puts 1,000 children in jeopardy, or puts 1,000 adults in jeopardy.
Mm-hmm.
They call it ego legislation. But I just want to emphasize those two twined characteristics. Dishonesty and laziness is what keeps people unhappy. And for my money, and my time, and my life, and my energy, to be happy is the ultimate goal of being human. And that's to be defined by every individual. A lot of people claim to be happy, but they have pain of some sort. Financial pain, emotional pain, sexual pain, spiritual pain. They have these pains in their life which they're partially happy or they're partially fulfilled. And religion, politics, the academia, and the media, those 4 areas are just filled with dishonest and or lazy people trying to make a buck, trying to get over on people, and they only end up getting over on themselves. You see it every week in the media.
Or maybe on themselves, right? I mean, they do get over on other people, but eventually...
That's the most terrible delusion, to fool yourself, to lie to yourself and believe those lies.
Yeah.
That's the most damaging. I mean, the politician du jour, the corrupt politician du jour we just had was Larry Langford here, the mayor, and there was weeping and gnashing of teeth by his friends and his co-conspirators and some friendly media people, but really he was just a pathetic slime ball, you know, and he got over for years over people claiming to be for Birmingham and for the poor and all these causes and he was able, because of his personal magnetism, such as it was, to swindle millions out of the taxpayers. What's the current figure for the sewer project? Over $2 billion we're on the hook for over decades. And the same with the federal government. We're on the hook for millions of school kids' lunch money over the next 10 or 20 generations. In terms of what we've done, giving away cars, giving away houses, bailing out banks, bailing out financial institutions. I read and study Austrian economics, which tells me there's no free lunch, and if there is, you pay double for the continental breakfast. It's a little joke I made up. And we are going to have to pay the piper somehow. China owns a good portion of our debt, of our bonds. Other countries, Asian countries, have a big piece of America. We used to cry foul when the Japanese wanted to buy a
New York
tower building in New York.
Yeah.
And they own a good portion of our debt.